Alright, so I'm doing a second video on the Fusion. It's 18 twin turbo sport. Did a previous video on a issue with the boost sensor. I've got some more information and research I've done. The map sensor that sits on top of the intake back here, I did put a new one on this after I got that code. According to what I read online on information or service manuals on the vehicle, also according to what Ford says in some of their information, this is literally listed as a map sensor like it should be, and the actual boost pressure sensor is the one on the intercooler. So it makes sense that it's the computer is reading boost pressure off of the sensor down here on the intercooler, and the manifold air pressure off of that one. Now, they are the same sensor. To the T, they literally are the same sensor. This is the old one that I took out of the intercooler down there. It's the same part number, it's the same sensor. So if you buy a boost pressure sensor instead of the manifold air pressure sensor, it doesn't matter, they're the same one, they're interchangeable. They have the same connector, same amount of pins, they're identical sensors. So when you call Ford about these two sensors, they're going to show the same part number, doesn't matter, as long as they get the part number right. So let me show you a little trick. If anybody's ever done this, when I did my JMS Boost Max module, I had to wire into this sensor down at the intercooler, which was not fun. So I'm going to show you how I did this, and you're going to need a pillow or a piece of foam. You're going to be here a minute. You want something to lay your head on, because trust me, you'll wear your neck out trying to hold your head up so you can see in there. And doing something like this, having this to put your head on, puts you at a good angle to see straight up in there. It helps a lot of us older guys out. Okay, so first off, once you get your plastic cover off, all you need to do is take this front cover off. We've been down here. As you can see, I didn't bother taking off the end on the driver's side. I left those 3 or 4 screws on there, just enough so I can get this side down and out of the way is all I did. I didn't even have to take it completely off. So this is the wrench I used. It's a snap-on. This is a, okay, all right, let's see what size this is. There it is, T25. It is a security bit or a tamper-proof bit. You will need that. So this is what I used. Now make sure if you have one of these, you do need one with a flexible head, and make sure the head on your ratchet is, make sure this bolt right here, if you can tighten it, make sure that's tight. If this flops around on you and doesn't stay where you put it, so for example, if I bend it there and I can move this around and it doesn't move anywhere, that's what you want. You don't want the head of this ratchet to flop around on its own. You'll spend 2 hours trying to get this wrench positioned in there if the head of this flexible ratchet isn't tight. So let's go up in here. Okay. All right, so let me give you an idea. So here's the bottom of your core support, plastic. Go forward. If we look up top, you're gonna see a frame rail right here where my finger is. Let me get my camera to focus. So there's the beginning of your frame rail right above it. There's your sensor. Okay, there's the one screw for it. Let me try to get you closer. Can you see a little better? Hey, there we go. There it is. Okay, so I left the plug on the sensor connected to the sensor, and then disconnected the plug after I took the sensor out. I had an easier time disconnecting the plug once the sensor was out of the intercooler than I did trying to get my hands up in there. Now, if you need to, you've got access. Grabbing a tool here. So if I go up underneath here, get a better angle, I can go straight up, and if you watch right where the sensor is, you can see, and you can see my pliers right through there. So you've got access to go straight up at the sensor with a screwdriver or pliers. These are extra long needle nose. So you've got access there. You can get your hand in there, okay? So this is why I waited until after I was done. I put the sensor in without the plug on it, screwed it down, and then I used my hand right here, plus the help of a screwdriver or a set of pliers, and just to push this back in and clip it. So I was pushing my fingers that way to clip it in. That was the easiest thing to do. Now, on your ratchet, let me grab my ratchet and I'm gonna show you. Okay, so I'm going to go in before the core support. Okay. All right, this is gonna be difficult to do. Okay, stand by. I gotta reposition. Okay. All right. Okay. Sorry, guys. A little bit difficult by yourself. But if you're not holding a camera, this isn't really that hard. Okay, so there we go. Got my hand in there. Okay. So you can see the angle my ratchet is at. Getting that down just a little bit. So I'm focus camera. Sorry guys. Okay, so basically it's gonna go right up against there like that. I know it's hard to see. Let me pause this for a second. Let me get the ratchet up in there while I'm not holding the camera, and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay. Alright, sorry guys, so as you can see, I've got my left hand on the left hand side of this hole, and the ratchet, come on focus, get up in there. The ratchet's in there just like that. Okay, I've got plenty of room. Let me see if I can sneak in there. There we go. So I've got plenty of room right there. I can loosen, I can tighten. You don't have a ton of room to spin this ratchet, but you've got enough. You've got maybe about a 60-degree turn you can get on it, so it's enough. I found out that if I just broke the torque on the screw, I could stick my hand in there and finish taking the screw out with my fingers. The screw wasn't in there that tight after you broke the torque. So, and then the plastic piece right here that I'm tapping on, you've got just enough room to get your ratchet onto that screw without any interference. So once you get the screw out, okay, get in there, sorry, okay, so once you get the screw out, the sensor just pops straight out. Just takes two fingers behind it, pops out. You do have to do some wiggling around. You will get frustrated, but just lay back and relax. As long as you got your head resting on something, you'll be fine. Just take your time, have some patience. It looks harder than it is, but I'd say maybe from start to finish, not accounting for taking this panel down. Once I got the panel down, I'd say maybe 30 minutes total between getting the old sensor out and putting the new one in and getting it clipped in. So if anybody has any questions on this, let me know. I'll try to help you. But again, this is the boost pressure sensor on the passenger side corner of the intercooler.